Hey guys, welcome back to the Ultimate Comeback Consecution. This is part 3. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts, you will have no inkling as to what's going on. Back at it again with getting the free views, as you can tell. All you chads, all you kings out there that have seen the first 2 parts, I promise you that you will get seas of women if you see the first 2 parts of this series. In case you were wondering why my hair is so puffy, it's because I took a shower today. So yeah, if my hair isn't puffy, you feel free to bully me about the way I smell in the comments section. That is, if my hair's not fluffy. Or if you just feel like bullying some poor teenager. Either way, it's fine with me. I don't really give a shit. So, today's episode of the Ultimate Comeback Consecution is a little different, especially from my average content. Normally I don't really cover TV shows, but today's episode I decided to make an exception. The original plan was to cover 2 comic books, because I was originally going to do 1. But then I thought about it more and, looked at my, notes inside my head and realized that I didn't have enough to say about it to make a long enough video to accommodate for the previous 2 parts. And then I added another one on top of there, and I realized that even with the 2 of them in one video, I didn't have enough of anything interesting to say about either of them to make a long video to, fit the standards for my comeback series. So instead, I'm going to do a TV show that I'm very passionate about and that I think I could do a lot with. As far as talking about it goes, anyway. Normally, it actually feels nice to talk about this show because I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. I feel like a lot of people know what it is and probably have seen it, but I don't feel like enough people talk about it, So, yeah, that's pretty much going back to my original purpose, which was to cover, content that needs more attention. But, so yeah. Roll the intro.
Start off with the olive oil.
Olive oil.
Out the olive.
Welcome back. Crazy intro, right? If you like it, it was actually made by my good friend Trashton W, as seen here. Great guy. Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Follow his TikTok if you want. I'm not going to link it, because I don't think he wants me to, because, he obviously doesn't like being on there. But, if you want to give him attention, I'll ask him for his TikTok. I'm not giving it to you. Anyway, follow his shit. Great guy. He was nice enough to take time out of his day to make the intro. So, yeah. Thank him. He's probably in the comments right now. Trashton, I swear if you don't comment on this video, I'm going to strangle you. Anyway, today's episode is, as I said before, not a normal episode because it's covering a TV show, which I don't normally do. Normally I just do a comic book, and if there's a TV show adaptation, then I watch the TV show and talk about that. Unless the video was not pre-planned, in which case I do not watch the TV show and just mention that I didn't watch it and say that it's probably good, but I'm not going to watch it. But this time it's just a TV show, because as far as I'm concerned, it's the TV show is the only adaptation. The show is BoJack Horseman. I swear I'm not a furry. I am reading Beastars. I have seen BoJack Horseman multiple times. Zootopia is probably one of my favorite Disney movies. Like, top 10-ish. I really like Zootopia. But I swear I'm not a furry, guys. I swear. Please don't look at my search history. I swear if you look at my search history, you're not gonna come out alive. Anyway, like I've been doing with the past 2 episodes, I'm gonna discuss my history with it. So, originally I didn't know much about BoJack Horseman. I just thought it was another one of those edgy adult animations that I could get away with making fun of, or enjoying either way. I thought it would be up there with the likes of Big Mouth and Paradise PD, where I would just watch it and forget about it the moment I finish it and move on with my life. Because, at the time I was like 13, I was still in middle school. So, I was on the prowl for that edgy shit, that would like sate me. And, BoJack Horseman is edgy to some extent, but I wouldn't consider it like Big Mouth or Paradise PD levels of edginess. Because, it's not so edgy that it's unlikable. Well, I wouldn't even call it edgy. I'd call it more mature, really. That has to be the most pretentious thing I've ever said about anything in my entire life. But anyway, overall, I like it a lot, and obviously I'm going to go more in depth into that. But yeah, I've been watching this show since I want to say season 4 came out, because I think season 4 was the most recent season when I first started watching it. I think so. I finished the show, it was awesome, and then season 5 part 1 came out, and I popped off so hard, and it was so fucking awesome. But I was really disappointed. Well, not really disappointed, but I still put, season 5 in the cons. And I'll mention why. I'll go more in depth into that. Roll the transition. So, didn't hurt as much this time. Still keep hitting. I'm gonna just stop clapping. I'm just gonna outright stop clapping. Like, I'm gonna be that one asshole that's just a stick in the mud in a crowd that just sits there like, yeah, I liked it, but I'm not gonna jam my hands together like some Cro-Magnon. I'm gonna be that guy just because it hurts. Finger guns. Can't go wrong with that. Welcome back. I'm going to start with the pros. Now, my pros take up the entire front page of my notes. I literally had to go to the back to write, what was it? 5 negatives. This is going to be a long fucking video, but whatever. So we're going to start with the pros. The first thing I have written is, it's a good show. Moving on. I'm just kidding. Of course I'm going to elaborate. I consider the show very well written. I think it's a very charming TV show. I like the writing style a lot. Like, the writing style, I would say, it like, you can tell that they put care even into the dialogue. Like, in the way that the characters speak. Because, like, I don't know. Something about... I like the dialogue is my point. The dialogue is probably one of my favorite things about the show, because to this day, it gives me chills, and I'm going to be discussing that later. Excuse me. But, one example of, like, why I like the dialogue is because they rarely ever say fuck. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but hear me out. So, basically... Fuck. Fuck is like a pretty interesting word, isn't it? Fuck is a cuss word that everybody knows, Like, I hate that fucking thing. I hate that motherfucker. Go fuck yourself in the motherfucking church. That word. It's one of the most used cuss words, but, like, one thing that I like about adult shows is when they rarely ever use the word fuck. And that makes it more intense. Even though it's supposed to be considered a more intense cuss word, it's kind of been oversaturated because of how many times it's used. And I like when TV shows undersaturate the word by rarely ever saying it. And BoJack Horseman does that. And, like, whenever they say it, it's really intense too. Like, it packs a punch. Like they emphasize the consonants in that word, and I love it so much because it makes the scene so much more intense when they say it.
No.
Mom,
Charlotte.
Penny, go to your room.
we didn't even do anything.
Now, Penny.
Charlotte, I am so sorry.
Don't you dare. If you are not out of my driveway in 30 minutes, I will call the police. And if you ever try to contact me or my family again, I will fucking kill you.
Where did I put it? Right down here. The actors are awesome. They do the dialogue justice, and they do the writing justice as well. Because they just go along with it, like an actor's supposed to. I'm not going to dwell on this too much, because I'm basically complimenting them for doing their job. I'm sorry, I came off like a huge asshole. That was a joke, by the way. Okay, real talk here. Like, jokes aside, like, complimenting them for doing their job, like, fuck off, dude. They are actually really good actors. They picked damn good actors. Like, Will Arnett, I only know that name because of this show. He is such a good voice actor. I love him so much. Love that motherfucker. He's awesome. The characters are likable. Even the more characters that are purposefully written as assholes are likable at some point because they're developed. And here's the other thing. Here's the thing that I'm going to mention since the whole characters thing is out there on the field. Some of the characters are ironically somewhat relatable. Some of the characters are more so relatable to, like, you know, somebody who's married or someone who's rich. But, like, if you look at it from a different perspective, like how they're struggling mentally or how they're struggling figuring out this whole adult thing, like, you can relate to them from that perspective, you know? And I like that a lot. Like, even though a lot of the characters are rich assholes, it's kind of ironic that you can relate to a majority of them because of how well they're developed and, like, the perspective the writers give you of their deteriorating mental state. Speaking of deteriorating mental states, actually, yeah, okay, I can bring that up. I keep, like, thinking out loud because, like, I'm trying to say these notes in order because I don't want to get lost. Anyway. Yeah. So, I'd say that the show has an overall good message and, and it has a good perspective on mental health issues. The show is very depressing in a lot of ways. So, but, like, it's like a good kind of depressing, you know? Like, it's kind of it keeps you hooked depressing, sort of. So, like, it's well written and it gives you a good perspective and something to think about. It's not just depressing to be edgy, it's giving you something to think about. There you go. I like their perspective on mental health issues and how they affect people and people's decisions in life. And on top of that, I'll even add the theme of making shitty decisions one day is gonna blow up in your face later. I like that a lot because, like, the characters don't just go unpunished. Like, some characters do something in season 1, and they're still suffering the consequences by, like, season 4 or 5, and I like that a lot. It shows that their actions have consequences. It's realistic. They're not... While they are cartoon characters, they still suffer from their consequences, which is ironic because they're cartoon characters. Oh yeah, in parentheses I put, it's not 13 reasons why. 13 reasons why. I'm stupid and accidentally cut the clip before I could, finish my sentence. Yeah. I put in parentheses on the little, mental health thingy messages that BoJack Horseman projects, that it's not 13 reasons why. I'm just gonna rant here for a second, hope you guys don't mind. I fucking hate that show. It makes me sick. I genuinely dislike that show. They had the fucking balls to glorify teen suicide and mental health issues. It makes me sick. It makes me sick that those fuckers thought it was okay to do that. I can't believe people sometimes. It's a genuine problem that people are out here are struggling with. And these faceless corporate people up at making TV shows are just like, wow, why don't we glorify this shit? Why don't we glorify this actually genuine problem in our world and put it in a very terrible TV show? I don't give a fuck if it's good or not. It's not a good show in the first place, but even if it was fucking good, I wouldn't be forgiving it. Because you can't get away with glorifying such a sad problem. Families are destroyed over this shit. And you have the fucking balls to make a show about it that glorifies it. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you. That is not okay. It's so immature. It's so unlikable. There's nothing charming about 13 Reasons Why. It's not a good show. Especially for that fucking reason. It makes me sick. I've had it up to here with this shit. I can't believe people sometimes. They didn't present it in a mature way. They presented it in the most immature way you could imagine and glorified it. Go fuck yourselves. If you're one of the execs who produced 13 Reasons Why, up yours. Fuck you. Actually, shame on you. BoJack Horseman is a good example of how taking a serious topic like suicide thoughts or, your mental health issues, it handles the topic well. It doesn't try to glorify it. It doesn't present it as something good. It doesn't present it as something that is okay. The writers are unaware that it's not okay. They're aware that it's not okay. They're aware that it's a problem that should be fixed. And they handle that such a serious problem in the most mature way you can think of. They handle it realistically and in a mature manner. Which is not something that 13 Reasons Why does, and it's disgusting. Fuck you. Fuck you if you made 13 Reasons Why. Fuck you if you like 13 Reasons Why. Actually, shit. I can't believe people sometimes. I'm sorry to rant. I don't like ranting, guys. I'm sorry. Especially not on YouTube. But yeah. Next segment. Moving away from that, I do like the message and the theming of the show and the way that it's written and the way that they present the mental health issues, because I think it's well written, because, they show the characters struggling with it. Like in real life. They don't try to glorify it. You know what show I'm talking about. You just saw the last clip. I'm done with that, by the way. I'm done with that. I'm done yelling. I'm sorry, guys. Good actors. I mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. The actors, holy shit. Even one person in that cast changed, the show would have flopped. I swear. The actors were so good. It was amazing. That cast could not have done better. I swear. They were actually peak actors. I love those guys so much. The genre balancing. Okay, real talk here. I've been talking about this show, right? And it's about, the struggles of mental health issues on people. And, how your actions have consequences in the end. And, your selfishness not only affects you, but also the people around you and all that stuff. So you can imagine that it's a pretty dark show, right? Right. But it actually has two genres. It's a drama, but what else is it? I'll let you take a wild guess. Go ahead, guess. If you guessed comedy, you would be right. That's right, it's a dramedy. And I actually like the balance. I think it's actually quite nice. So the show is pretty dark, right? So, they kind of balance it. Like, they show you a couple darker episodes that develop the characters and, show their struggles. And then they do a couple other episodes that are just kind of like side gigs that are supposed to be a little more funny. Or maybe they combine that into one episode, make one episode half funny, and then make the rest of that episode half depressing. And that's what keeps you hooked, because it's not so utterly depressing that you have to take breaks, because there are comedic bits in there that, keep you sane, for the most part. And I like that a lot, because I liked the way that they balanced it. I thought it was really good. I appreciated the way that they balanced it. And they balanced it in, like, a mature way, too. Like, they didn't, like, make the characters with, like, genuine mental health issues, like, the butt of the joke. Or they didn't make the mental health issues the joke, like, ever. Like, they made the comedy about literally anything else. Which is the mature and appropriate thing to do. And I like that a lot. And you would think that the comedy is dark, because, it's a dramedy. You would think that it would have darker comedy. And it does for the most part, but, like, I would say that there are more, like, silly jokes than there are dark jokes. And, like, you can call me, like, stupid and easily entertained, but I love the silly jokes. Like, the silly jokes get me every time. Here, I'll roll, like, one of my favorite silly jokes. Right here.
Mosquito got into my tent. What do you want?
So that was a couple of my favorite, like, goofy little jokes in the show. I like it a lot. I like the humor. I think it's pretty well written. Sometimes the humor falls flat on its face, but there's other jokes that, like, make me laugh my ass off every time. So, I'd say overall, the comedy has a pretty decent balance. Oh, the OST, the soundtrack is S tier. Said I would stop clapping. The soundtrack is S tier. I love the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack so much. Gets me every time. Some of the songs can be pretty surreal, and a lot of the other songs are more drab and dark. And of course, because it's also partially a comedy, they also add in, like, a couple of silly songs to match the more comedic stuff and all that. And, like, the characters also have very fitting themes. I like the characters' themes, Pretty good stuff. I also like the opening. Like, the opening theme, I love it so much. It feels like you're, like, looking into the main character's mind. It's, like, such a surreal mess of a song, and I love it so much. Because it's, like, looking into the main character's head, like I just mentioned. If you watch the show, you'll know what I mean. Oh yeah. The show gives me chills. Like, a lot. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm somewhat of a frequent user of TikTok. Not, like, super frequent. But, like, I'm on there enough to, like, get some of the inside jokes, And, like, sometimes I'll be scrolling through, and then I'll find a BoJack Horseman clip. And, every single time, no matter what, I will either get chills, start crying, or both. That's how much of an effect this show has on me. I love it so much. I connect with it. Well, connect implies that I relate. A lot of the stuff I can't relate to because I'm only 16. I haven't lived through most of this. But, like, I sympathize with the characters. And, like, some of the characters, like, the writing just grabs me by the throat and pulls me into sympathizing with them and feeling bad with them. And, like, a lot of the time I felt like, I don't want to get too deep into this, but in the past I have felt pretty, depressed and distant. I wouldn't say that I have depression, but, I do struggle a lot with sadness sometimes, And, it's kind of nice seeing the show. Like, the show almost is showing me that, look, you're not the only one that struggles with this shit. And I like that a lot. But anyway, after I've seen the show like 4 or 5 times, by the way, and some of this stuff still gives me chills or brings tears to my eyes every time. Here's a list of a few things that gave me like chills or brings tears to my eyes. I'll show pictures or clips afterwards,
Hey, Future Editor Soup here. I just wanted to let you guys know that my dumb fucking ass forgot to mention that there are pretty major spoilers. So, if you look on screen now, there's actually like a part that you can skip if you want to skip the major spoilers. You're welcome.
Actually, I'll mention this one last. So, in season 5, towards the end, there's a little quote from one of the characters, Herb Kazaz, and okay, I'm gonna give as little context as I can, but basically, the main character, Bojack, and Herb Kazaz kind of have this, like, existential moment, and at some point, Herb says that there is no other side. I wish I could elaborate further, but I actually want you guys to see this show. It's amazing. It's an amazing show. And, like, they talk about... basically, he says there's no other side, and it's such a depressing thing, especially when... No, fuck it. I'm putting a spoiler warning at the beginning. I don't care. This scene deserves context. Bojack is dying. Right? And so, like, Bojack, the main character, is, like, living in his... Like, while he's dying, drowning in a pool, and overdosing on pills at the same time, he's kind of like trapped in his own little world, in his own mind, where all these people that have lived and died within his world are talking to him. And, it's almost nostalgic just for him and the viewer to see them again. Because, at this point, they're either long dead, or, like, their death has had such an effect that it just feels like such a long time ago. And one of them is Herb Kazaz. And, like, Herb, I can't remember the full context of the scene, but basically, Bojack asks what it's like on the other side. And Herb just kind of, like, pauses for a second, and then is like, oh, Bojack, there is no other side. And that scene gives me chills every single time, because it's such a scary thought to think, like, what happens after we die. I'm not going to dwell too much on that, though, because, it's super controversial. There's the main character, Bojack, and then there's another character named Mr. Peanut Butter. And Bojack expresses a lot of jealousy towards Mr. Peanut Butter, but it's not really... the viewer isn't really told that it's jealousy until a little bit later into the show. And, it's kind of... Basically, the quote I was thinking of was, this is a summary, by the way. I don't remember the exact quote. Actually, I'll put a picture of it on screen if I can find a picture of the scene. But basically, Bojack says that Mr. Peanut Butter is too stupid to realize what's going on around him. And so therefore, the world's biggest problems have such a little effect on him because he's too damn stupid to understand it. And Bojack almost envies Mr. Peanut Butter's naivety. And there's something so chilling about that, that somebody just... I don't know. I don't think I have to explain that to you. You guys are smart enough to understand what that means. Bojack needs affirmations that he's not a piece of shit. There's a couple scenes throughout the show where Bojack, like, begs, like, his friends and his family to please tell him that he's not a piece of shit, or that, that he needs forgiveness or something like that. And something about that is just really pathetic and sad. And you almost want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, you can't really tell him that he's not a piece of shit, because he is kind of a piece of shit. And, he does have reasons to be a piece of shit, but, like, the part of being alive, like, one of the many things about being alive is, like, you can choose whether or not to let certain things define you. And in Bojack's case, he does let his problems define him, and that leads to him being a piece of shit sometimes. And, it's kind of pathetic. I don't want to be rude, but he is a fictional character, so I can call it pathetic. And yeah. I like the way that was written. I thought that was really cool. Or not really... It's not cool. Cool implies that it's like, way cool, man, I can't wait to live through that. No, I really don't. I want to avoid that at all costs. I like the way it was written, in summary. Oh yeah. Sometimes the characters, especially BoJack, try to force change. And the show is, like, somewhat realistic, so obviously forcing change backfires horribly. I don't have much else to say about that. The pursuit of happiness. This is a theme that has always lived with me for my entire life. Like, Calvin and Hobbes... Holy shit, dude. Like, Calvin and Hobbes and BoJack Horseman both have, like, themes of the pursuit of happiness and pondering what the pursuit of happiness is, whether or not it's something to, target and engage in. And, both of those are good examples of that, but this isn't about Calvin and Hobbes, this is about BoJack Horseman. I can't really dwell on the pursuit of happiness too much, though, because I don't have any exact quotes or scenes in mind. You'd have to watch the show. Another theme that, like, really stayed with me after finishing the show, like, a couple times, was that sometimes you just have to live with the fact that you fucked up. Which is also pretty realistic, and also something that, like, I can relate to some degree. Because, like, again, I'm not gonna go super into detail, but there have been times where I fucked up horribly, and I couldn't fix it. I just had to live with the fact that I did a shitty thing, and that there's nothing I can do about it. Right? So, yeah. I like that. I like that theme, because it's realistic, and it's depressing, and it makes you reflect on yourself, almost. Oh, and of course, the last two things on the things that give me chills is, of course, the dynamic between the main character and two other characters. I'm going to start with the character Sarah Lynn. Sarah Lynn, the dynamic between Sarah Lynn and BoJack is probably my favorite dynamic. I like it a lot. I think it's really well written. And, BoJack likes to take out a lot of his, like, loneliness onto Sarah Lynn, Like, he tries to be the parent that his parents never were to him. That's really all I have to say about it. It's really... Oh, wait, no, actually, I have more to say about that. So basically, Sarah, because, like, BoJack and, Sarah Lynn are, like, attached like that, BoJack blames himself for her death and overdose. Because they did go out on a little road trip where they did take, a lot of drugs, and, she obviously died from that. In his arms, too, which was really depressing and actually made me cry, too. Like, there was no outro music either. That gave me chills and put even more tears in my eyes. The last line was just BoJack worryingly saying her name. And, like, that has such an intense moment. And you could feel that, like, BoJack's, like, happiness, like, fading away even more than it already has. Because, one of the most important people in the world to him literally just died in his fucking arms. Said that like a heartless newscaster. I'm gonna do a little side bit here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A funny horseman just figured out that his quote-unquote daughter died in his hands. Stay tuned for when we discuss how beans are the new source of electricity. Something like that. I'm now a CNN reporter. Carl Azus. Fuck out of it. I'm just kidding. Mr. Azus. I love that man. That man is handsome boy right there. Look at this man. Look at how saturated he is. Don't you just love the oversaturation of his face? I sure do. That's hilarious. Oh, and of course the dynamic between BoJack, the main character, and Herb Kazaz. Herb and BoJack were best of buddies. They started a TV show together where BoJack starred as the main character and Herb was the producer. And they were like such close friends that, again, like when like things went wrong and Herb was fired off his own TV show, I completely lost my train of thought. I just had something good going and then I completely forgot. Oh yeah, when Herb gets kicked off of his own TV show, and it's just BoJack running it and some other producer that I don't even think he knows that well. Like BoJack blames himself yet again for not defending Herb and not being there for Herb. I almost called him fucking Ferb. Dude, do you see him with the F-shaped face and green hair? I don't think so. I don't think he has a pet platypus that is secretly an agent. I do, though. I have a pet platypus that is a secret agent. His name is Perry, much like in the TV show, Anyway, let's talk about Herb getting fired, actually. One of the things that, actually really depressed me was that he got fired because he was gay. And, they were producing the show in, the 90s, so it kind of makes sense that homophobia would be there at the time, because, it was the time. So, I'm not defending the fact that he got, fired. I was just putting it out there. That's why he got fired. And that was really unfair, And, I'm glad that, they wrote it as, a depressing and unfair thing, too. I really appreciated that, actually. I'd explain why, but I refuse to elaborate further. Other than the fact that I'm, something called a caring person. Don't know if you know what that is, but, It's really, jokes aside, all seriousness, I'm sure that kind of shit was present, all the time, especially in, the 90s, before the, 2000s, and that really sucks to think about, that they were just treated unfairly, just because of the, just because they prefer to date a specific way, they're punished for it for no reason, and it just sucks, It just sucks. There's no sugarcoating that. And, I like the way that BoJack Horseman wrote it, because, again, they didn't try to glorify something that's genuinely a serious and depressing situation. They didn't try to glorify that. They didn't try to justify it. They wrote it as, a genuinely bad thing, and, a thing that had a genuinely negative effect on BoJack, the main character. Because his best friend was getting fired for an unfair reason. And, just wanted to put that out there. I know life's not fair, but, come on. We could be a little bit more fair. I don't know. I don't think life isn't fair is a good excuse to be a bigot. But, this bit has been going on for almost 20 minutes. I really like this show. I don't know if you can tell. Let's move on to the cons, the few that there are. Son of a bitch! Ow! That hurt. Again, I don't learn my lesson. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and all else in between. This is the con section of my, BoJack Horseman review. That was an almost 30-minute section on the pros. I only have, 5 cons, because I do like this show a lot. It's obviously not flawless. I did have a couple problems with it. First of all, the animation and the character design. Now, I'm not going to complain too much because I am aware that there are different animation styles and different art styles. And, who am I to judge somebody with a specific art style? I won't exactly call it ugly. I wouldn't call it, visually unappealing either. It's just kind of Actually, no, completely scratch that. I'm not gonna shit on it. I have literally no reason to shit on it. Completely forget I said anything. Season 5. Earlier in the video, I said I was gonna complain about Season 5. It's not about the quality of Season 5, necessarily. It's about the history behind Season 5, more so. So, basically, Season 5 was released as, like, an early ending to the show. And right off the bat, I hate that because, you know, I want to see more content out of the show because obviously they had more planned. You know, and this ending of Season 5 was also... I didn't dislike the ending. I just was, like, very mildly disappointed because, you know, it just felt kind of weird. I liked it, but at the same time, I didn't. I don't know. I felt like the ending deserved more than what it got. You know, I feel like it deserved a lot more build-up than what it got. But, you know, it's not the writers' fault. They did their best, and that's why I'm not saying that I hate it. Because, you know, you can tell that they did their best, like the rest of the show. So, I'm not going to shit on it too much. Episode 1. I don't like Episode 1 that much. I'm not the first person to say that. It's just kind of It doesn't really set the ground for the rest of the show very well. You know, it's just kind of You know? And of course, the pedo moments. Good fucking lord. Alright. Here's the thing. I'm only saying I hate them because they made me uncomfortable. Alright? Like they should do. Because I'm a sane person and I don't make tweets like this. Actually, go fuck yourself if you support this shit. I can't believe some of you people. Like, there's a line, and making shit like this is crossing it. Go fuck yourselves, I swear. So here's the thing, they're not glorifying it, necessarily. No, not necessarily, they're not glorifying it, period. They're presenting it as a thing. It's like, this is terrible, do not do this, no matter how you're feeling. Do not do this. That's how it's written. And that's the only thing keeping me from 100% taking an absolute shit on this. You know? Because it's not glorifying this stuff. And that's why I have, like, even an ounce of respect for it. But, like, you know, it's pedo moments. Like, it made me uncomfortable, and quite honestly, I dislike that. But, you know, at the same time, I liked how it, like, punished the main character. Yes, it was the main character interacting in this moment. It punished the main character in future events. It affected his decisions, and, you know, he learned his lesson. And it shows how your selfishness just gets in the way and affects you negatively. Which is fine. It's just really uncomfortable. You know, like, I know she was the legal age of consent in that state. But, like, come on. She was 17, he was, like, 50-something. That's very gross. I dislike that. And, you know, it's because I'm a sane, cognitive thinking person. And, I don't walk around and do shit like this. So, anyway, on to the outro, baby. Not again. I'm not falling for it this time. That's gonna do it for part 3 of the Ultimate Comeback Consecution. Overall, I would say that I do like this show a lot. It is definitely my favorite show, ever created. Like, it definitely impressed me with the writing and the stuff, and, you know, how they decided to be mature, caring people when it came to handling the subjects that they were dealing with in this show. And I like it a lot. It's a very respectable, well thought out TV show, and I like it a lot. It's well balanced. The characters are just I sound like a broken record right now. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about the show. I do genuinely like it a lot. And, yeah. Thanks for watching. Oh. Right. So, in the previous episodes, I've mentioned that, in the review segment, I will discuss a series that I'm thankful about, or thankful for. And in the end segment, I will discuss someone or something that I'm thankful for that, helped me during the break. And, I'm gonna be thanking the internet. I feel like the internet was, like, one of the second most supportive thing to me as far as, being on my break was. I made a couple new friends while I was on the internet, and it was nice, to get some extra support that I needed. Thumbs up to that. Love you guys. Thanks again for watching. And thanks again for putting up with my shitty jokes and, my terrible taste in comic books and media in general. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you feel like it. Follow my Instagram if you feel like it. I don't give a shit. If you want to see more content from me, though, just follow my Twitter. Just saying. But yeah, that's gonna do it. This is olive oil soup. Spilling on the floor, baby. I'll see you in part 4.